Hi everybody, here I am with a fragrance review. Let's get back to fragrances. This is a decant that I've got of Bond No. 9 Fire Island. I've been curious to try this fragrance for on and off a couple of years at the very least, because I love beachy fragrances. I love fragrances that smell a little bit like sunscreen, that have anything really beachy. So if it's the smell of warm sand is mentioned as a note, or a sea breeze, ice cream, anything that evokes a holiday or vacation. So I've already done a compilation video of my favourite beachy holiday fragrances, but I'd never tried this one, so it's not in there. So I managed to smell it in Harrods a good few weeks ago and enjoyed it, but I was so overwhelmed by everything that I smelled. All I knew is it was quite pleasant, and then I saw that one of my Facebook friends, one of my perfume Facebook friends, was actually decanting from her massive collection, and this fragrance, Fire Island, was one of them. So I thought, well, I know that I like the smell of it, but let's give it a proper go with a decant. So that's what I've done. It's a 10ml decant. Let's see if you can see how much. So I've given it a good few wearings. You can see I've probably worn it 3 or 4 times, plus sprayed it randomly here and there just out of curiosity, like you do. Now I know you will do that. Some of you do that, don't you? How many decants do you carry around with you? How many are in your desk drawer at work? Anyway, so this has been carried around with me really quite a while. Anyway, let's go on with the review. So, Fire Island, there are notes of cardamom, ozone, neroli, white musk. In the base, there's musk, leather, honey, tuberose, and patchouli. So, those notes, actually, some of them scare me a little bit. So it's probably why I never went all out to try the fragrance, because I'm not a massive fan of leather in fragrances. Ozone can be nice if it's subtle. If it's over the top too much, ozones and aquatics can be a little bit off-putting for me as well. And tuberose is pretty much a nemesis of mine. There's not many fragrances with tuberose that I really like. I only like tuberose when it's played really right down. So how does it smell? So what I've done on here, I sprayed about half an hour ago. On here I sprayed it at work hours ago, and I'm going to give a fresh spray here, and here we go. So it opens up really warm, and there's a bit of a milkiness to it. It's spicy and warm, and it almost reminds me a little bit of Samsara. Not that it smells like Samsara, but it may be just ever so slightly similar. It's got that warm, spicy, woodsy. Samsara is obviously a sandalwood fragrance. The sandalwood's not mentioned in this fragrance, but there is kind of like a milky sandalwood, but it's really warm and almost gives you the image of golden, beautiful bodies glistening with their sun oil, warming on the beaches, you know, cooking basically, but not sweating, and they don't smell bad, these hot people, because this fragrance is really soapy, and it's soapy a little bit in the opening, and then the soapiness gets bigger and bigger. So the fire in the name, I feel like, I know Fire Island is supposed to be a place. I think it's where New Yorkers go for some sun when the weather's good, but actually the fire, it feels relevant to the way that it smells, almost like, not smells of fire in a smoky way, but where it's just warm and hot, I get that the fire kind of suits the way it smells, certainly in the opening anyway. What was I going to say? Right, so yeah, that opening feels really kind of hot, but it quickly cools off. It's almost like a wave has crashed and splashed all over these hot bodies and cooled them down. So you've got that kind of salty-ish aquatic feel, but ever so slightly. It's barely detectable, basically the fragrance is just cooling down. I totally get a sunscreen smell, but not the kind of sunscreen that I am used to. This is the old-fashioned, I believe it's copper tone is the fragrance, the sunscreen that gets referred to. And yeah, that doesn't surprise me because it smells a lot like Parfum de Nicolas Musk Monoi. That's really does smell quite similar to this one. Certainly aspects of it do, and that is definitely based on the old-fashioned copper tone sunscreen. So you definitely get sunscreen, you get warm, clean bodies that have washed in magnolia soap. You know, it's really, really clean. The soapiness is only slight still at the moment in that one, much more prevalent in the one that's older. And yeah, that has kind of faded down now, just a clean smell, you know, just like I've washed it with magnolia soap. Having said that, I find the longevity is actually quite good for this fragrance. I wore it today, I put it on at home, so that was about, what time did I leave? Just before 7:30, and I could still smell it. Certainly could still smell it if I wafted my top around. I could catch whiffs of it. I find that it's not a big projector. It definitely does project well for the first hour, then it sits quite a lot closer to the skin, but I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a skin scent. It just projects a little bit, enough. I don't think you need any more than that. As I say, it gets really quite soapy, and I don't think you want to be wafting shitloads of soap around you. It's kind of be a bit weird, but what do I think of this fragrance? So I have gone up and down in the way I feel about it. So, okay, my feelings about Bond number 9, I've never ever felt the need to explore the brand. I don't really like the bottles. I think they look a bit tacky. I do like a tacky bottle, but just not those particular weird starfish shaped things. So yeah, Bond number 9, I've always walked past them when I see them in Harrods and Selfridges, etc. I've never felt the need to explore. I'm overwhelmed by how many fragrances they offer. I did try New Harlem after all the hype, you know, I was supposed to smell like pancakes and syrup, but I really didn't like New Harlem. To me it smelled savoury. It didn't smell like a nice sweet breakfast. It smelled like herbs to me. I really didn't get on with that. So that was really the only Bond number 9 I've tried until this one. So I like it. I'm absolutely going to use up this decant, but I don't think I'm going to get any more after that. Just don't, if I'm looking for a beachy fragrance, then there are others that I prefer. This is a good one, I think, if you're a chap, because this is less sweet than a lot of the beachy fragrances out there. There is sweetness, but it's not very sweet. You have to bear in mind that there is tuberose in there, but for me the tuberose, if I was to smell that and not know there was tuberose, I would probably have a stab in the dark and say it might be jasmine. You know, you can tell there is a white floral that gives it the suntan vibe, but it doesn't smell anything like Fracas or Madonna's Truth or Dare, or those fragrances that are very heavy with a very chubby, greasy tuberose. This is very nicely subtilized tuberose, if you like. Basically, the feeling of the fragrance is clean and relaxed. It doesn't evoke anything naughty. There's nothing naughty. It's almost maybe a bit sterile, perhaps. For if you like a bit of dirt in your fragrances, then this is not going to cut it for you. This is clean. This is office safe for guys and girls. So overall, I'm actually impressed. I still don't feel the need to explore Bond number 9 any further. This is the only one I really wanted to try. Maybe Coney Island, actually, because I like a little bit of candy floss. But yeah, this is good. I would rank this fragrance as good to great, but not quite excellent. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. If I was looking for a pro, if I'm looking for positives, I would say that the longevity is very good, that it projects enough but not too much, that it's definitely unisex and perfectly office safe, quite inoffensive, easily wearable. If I was to say don't buy it, then that would be because it's a bit linear. It doesn't change much. I mean, the opening is prettier and perhaps a little more floral, and then the soap takes over. So, and then it kind of just stays like that all day long. So I would say it's probably it might get a bit boring, and there are more exciting beachy takes on fragrances out there. So I think if it sounds like it might be interesting to you, then definitely give it a sniff. Don't be put off by the leather or the tuberose. I don't really detect any leather at any stage, and the tuberose is very fluffy and wearable. If you are a massive tuberose fan and you love fracas and stuff like that, then you're going to be disappointed if you think this is a tuberose fragrance. This is a suntan lotion fragrance and a soap fragrance, and that is kind of it. But it's very pleasant, very wearable. So that's my take on Bond number 9, Fire Island. Thank you for watching and have a fabulous day.